Hello, everyone, and this is the return of Caillou
Mm.
with the Moxtober daily recap videos. Took a break in the middle there to do some schoolwork, and then about a week ago, I was like, cool, I'll start these up again. And then I got COVID, so then I did not start them up
Ah,
again. So it's been a few weeks since we've last done one of these, as you may notice by me being more than 20 days behind live. But worry not. Um, I'm going to diligently try to get through as many as uh, reasonable and feasible. And I know that y'all have been diligently making cards and enjoying yourselves in my absence. Moxtober, even though it's winding down now, I think we got 2 more days left. It seems like it's been like a pretty resounding success. We've got lots of people engaged from different corners of the custom magic community, as always, and I think in general, I think people have had a lot of fun with the different prompts.
yeah.
Uh,
When I was looking at the should I guess I should introduce myself. Um,
the man who needs no introduction, Tim F. Riley, everyone.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was looking through all these different choices here, and there were about like 40 cards for return. I got them down to about 10, and we're gonna talk through them. A lot of different ideas here, and we'll I don't know, just see what we think.
Yeah, and yeah, again, forgive me if I'm a little rusty because it has been a
Mm.
hot second since I did these, but yeah, I'm excited to go through and talk through some of these cards, and I hope that y'all are too. Even though I wonder how much the like being the day afterwards actually mattered for people enjoying these. We'll
Mm.
see. We'll end up seeing. But personally, again, for me, cards are cards, and I love going through and still seeing them, even if
Yeah.
sort of the in the moment discussion and hype of comparison has sort of moved on. I'm still in the mindset of I'm kind of curious. I want to see what people have done. So yeah, hit me with that first card.
Alrighty, yeah. The first one that I have picked out here is Echo from the Past. So this is one and a black for instant uncommon. It's kind of a double removal spell. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. If you cast this spell from your graveyard, that creature gets -5/-5 instead. It has flashback, but then it also has a new mechanic, Omen 1. Choose land or non land, then reveal the top card of your library. You may put it into your hand if it is of the chosen type, otherwise, put it into your graveyard. With that flashback, it's going to be 2 black. So you get to kill a creature, do this omen kind of scryish thing, and then kill a bigger creature, and then do this omen thing again.
Yeah, and this is designed by Apo0895.
Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
Um,
Apo.
so I really like Omen. Um, it's
Hmm.
essentially a, a weird mix of Abundant Harvest and the Explore mechanic. Um,
Yeah, Explorer.
um, and I think that it leads to, in a similar way that both of those mechanics did, to some interesting play patterns and incentives. It's not. I don't think it's as like clean as Explore, which had numerous easy
Hmm.
synergy points, but I mean,
Hmm.
the slap stuff's in the graveyard and can potentially draw you cards. Um, where it
Yeah,
comes,
this I good.
I don't know, I was just gonna say, I think the individual design of
Hmm.
uh, even without the flashback, I think this is potentially kind of obscene as a on rate
Hmm.
instant speed removal spell that can maybe draw you a card, and so making that can potentially be a natural 2 for 1. Um,
Yeah.
and then the flashback is like, what if 4 for 1? Consider.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, this felt more to me like Moxtober, a lot of what people are expressing is the concept of the card, not like tuning every single number. But when I read this, I hope to not play against this in limited. But I think it would be kind of fun in like a higher power, like commandery sort of place where getting a 2 or 3 for 1 is pretty normal.
Mm-hmm. I do. I think that lots of my issues with this card would be fixed if it was sorcery speed, because I think that instant speed
Yeah,
flashback, like it being a quote unquote face up removal spell, is also kind of
yeah,
annoying. That would make
that's true.
that would make the
Yeah.
front face a little bit more manageable. But yeah, they. Sorry, I do. I know. And again, I like the concept of Omen. I think that it's cool. The I'm
Mm,
just a
mm.
the I am very much a nitpicker at heart. So again, don't
Yeah,
take that to heart. But yeah. Mhm,
I like it. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, I think maybe even some of my picks today are going to be more in the like I like the concept and not necessarily like I'm trying to find like the perfectly balanced card. And there's like a funny sweat with Omen. You don't usually want to try to get lands out of it.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe if you're playing a lot of Omen cards, you actually like you go a little high on lands, or no? What are you trying to do here? If you're building the deck that has 15 Omen cards in it, does that change how you build?
I don't know, honestly. I think that the the ratios are probably going to remain the same, like relatively, if you just want a playable deck.
Hmm.
So I think you name. So see, I think okay. Actually, the more I think about Omen, the more I'm a little worried that you slam non-land as the name every time unless you're like mana
Yeah.
screwed, because you name
Yeah.
non-land. If you hit a non-land, cool. You draw a relevant card. Otherwise, you get a land off the top of your library, and therefore you're more likely to hit a non-land on your next draw. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe you wanted to stick with just the land part of Explore, but hard to say.
Hmm. Yeah. I think it's the Omen here is like maybe meant to create kind of like a fun moment. Like, oh, I bet this is a land and I need it, and then you flip it and you say, haha, I got what I wanted. Uh, And, maybe if you do want the land over time, you can keep naming land. You get to flash this back. If there are other flashback Omen cards, maybe I can get at land if I need to. But yeah, it seems like choosing non land is just going to be the prudent thing to do.
I wonder if it
And then just
said
keep hands with five lands.
yeah, if it said like non-creature, non-land, if there would be more play to it, because
Mm.
then especially in limited, right, a majority of your
Oh, okay. Mm.
non-lands are creatures just because how limited works, but then you're incentivized to maybe pull up like maybe like a more enchantment focused deck or like a spell slinger deck, which is can get a lot of value there. Um,
Mm.
but yeah,
Yeah, maybe, yeah, if you can make those buckets a little closer to 50-50, yeah, creature and non-creature or something like that, or I don't know. It feels like the land to non-land ratio is going to stay static. It's not really deck building-y, but if it was like creature to non-creature, or this isn't the right terminology, but like spell to non-spell or whatever, like you
yeah,
could
yeah,
change your deck ratio so that like Omen worked differently for you.
yeah, and then that adds to both the play and draft aspects of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it gives me maybe incentive to like have the 21 creature limited deck if Omen really cares about that kind of thing. I don't know.
Mm.
All right, my next one here. There's a flavor note to this card, Exorcism, that I kind of liked. This is 3 white for an instant at rare. It says exile target spirit, vampire, werewolf, or zombie creature. Return target human creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Speaking of two for ones,
Hmm. And this is designed by
this is
Two
our.
Draft Two Dude.
Oh, what a great name!
Mm. And this is a pretty spicy one. I think that this feels like a very maybe not corset rare, but like it feels like
Hmm.
a standard rare in a good way.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
it feels like this is the type of thing which makes for great pre-release or kitchen table moments, um,
Hmm.
where it's like, oh my god, the
Yeah.
exorcism, like, and it's like it's gated by its prohibitive cost in most other contexts, right? Unless you have a literal agent of
Hmm.
treachery running around, I don't think that this is going to be doing crazy stuff. And it still needs both targets, which I think
Yeah.
maybe you could make one of these an up to one, just so that you can like
Mm.
either the exile
Yeah.
or the return. Um, Especially because both are so specific that you don't want your bomb rare to be stuck in hand, right? And I think maybe the
Hmm.
part I would make an up to one is exile up to one spirit, vampire, werewolf, or zombie. Because if your opponent doesn't have one of
Hmm.
those, it's like, oh, I'm kind of out of luck. But you can always build your deck around having humans to revive.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think one of the pieces I liked about this card is that I think maybe the flavor here is that I'm removing the spirit from like an innocent victim, and now I have a new human. Like my
Mm.
human was out of control. They couldn't do anything. They were in the graveyard or whatever, if you want to call it that. But
Mm-hmm.
now that the spirit's gone, they've woken back up, and now they're healthy again.
Yeah, I'm.
Sometimes exorcism is just destroying a spirit, but not returning the victim to health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if another way to represent that flavor would be to do like a sky case. Oh my god, skyclave, whatever it is,
Hmm.
skyclave shade
Apparition.
apparition.
Yeah.
Yeah, the where like it exiles the creature and then you get like an XX human in return. So that way you don't need a
Oh.
human of your own. It's just like,
Hmm.
be gone. You're a human now.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel? Feels like a draft, like a rare in draft, but not like an exciting rare outside of draft to me. I don't know. Like I could feel like if I'm in an Innistrad set, I'm pretty likely to have one of those four targets. But outside of that, I'm probably not putting this in a commander deck. I'd need a real specific, really good human to put this in like a standard deck or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the inverse victim of night. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Both
Yeah,
in
yeah,
both in terms of cost and in terms of specificity of target.
yeah,
And again, I think that it really feels like the type of card that is tuned less so to be like attractive in all contexts, and honestly feels
yeah,
like the type of thing
yeah.
that'll be, it'll be like $1.20 in a few years, but then
Hmm.
someone is gonna have a story of like, oh yeah, dude, I was playing, um, Innistrad, this time it's personal, pre-release, um, and my opponent had an Olivia Volderin back from the
Hmm.
dead or whatever, and
Hmm.
I just completely killed it and brought back my Audric. It was such a flavor win, and it's like,
Hmm.
hell yeah, it was.
Yeah. 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 I guess that, like maybe you need the up to one thing to encourage people to like make sure to still want to put that in the deck to make that possible, to make that
Yeah,
opportunity
yeah.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess maybe it's in the same thing as like maybe like color hate in Commander, where like, oh, if I have an anti blue card or whatever, that's maybe good in some tables and bad in other tables.
The, the
And this
the
card's the same thing. It's like good.
the color is a little like, is more accessible isn't quite the word, but more likely to show up, right? Like if you, like it's
Yeah,
why
yeah,
people don't like what's her name, Iona, the big 9 mana angel. It's like, well,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
actually color hate sometimes good.
Hmm, 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 hmm. Yeah, it feels like 10% or less or of creatures are one of these four types.
Hmm.
Um,
Another thing could
so
be
yeah, it does. Oh, good.
like exile target creature. If that creature was a spirit, vampire, werewolf, or zombie creature, then do the thing.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
general removal, but then it spikes if you hit your favorite target.
Hmm. That's really fun. I like that.
Yay.
Yeah, I just love the flavor note here. That's what really drew me to it.
Hmm.
All
Yeah,
right,
like,
next up, I've got. Oh, good.
no, yeah, like I do love that it's like, it's not just kill the thing, it's kill the thing and purify them, which you mentioned earlier. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Love that. Got kind of an odd one for this next one. I just played some Plane Chase and then I saw this card. It kind of jumped out at me. We'll see how this reads. Homeward Beacon. This is 4 and a white for an artifact. This is text that I've never seen before. Name a face up plane. Anytime a player planeswalks, they may pay 2 and put a home counter on Homeward Beacon. If they do, if they do not, planeswalk to the named plane instead. And then it has a second part. Tap, you may have chaos ensue up to X times, where X is the number of home counters on Homeward Beacon. Sacrifice Homeward Beacon. This came in from our buddy Alchemy Prime.
Man, this is again. I've never played Plane Chase, and
Hmm.
I'm usually like a Magic purist in the sense that
Oh, okay.
I like to play
Yeah.
Jet. I
Yeah. Yeah.
like for this is the type of thing that would make me want to play Plane Chase. This is
Oh,
flavorful.
okay.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
flavorful. It's like it's very clear what it does, right? Like the the play pattern and stakes are very like
Hmm.
I think the word that came to mind was face up because it says name a face up plane, but they are like it's very obvious what this card does. And I like that. I like that it has like a very clear impact on the game, does something flavorful, and has like yeah, and it has like a clear benefit. I don't know. This just feels like very
Hmm.
and I might be if cause I kind of only vaguely know the plane chase rules, but from what I'm understanding, this feels pretty
Yeah.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the way that this works is that whenever planeswalking happens, people have to pay two, or else we always planeswalk back to the plane that I like. And so as people are jumping through planes, I'm like watching them go by, and then I see one that's really good for my deck, and then I slam this card out and say that's the home plane. And now if you want to leave that, you got to pay a bunch of extra mana. And that actually works really well for how the planar die tends to work because people often like take their turn and then I got like one mana left. I'll roll the planar die twice, so they don't have the mana to pay for Homeward Beacon. Uh, and you get to lock them in this one plane that you really
Mm.
like.
And even if they
Uh,
escape the plane, you get some home
yeah,
counters which can quote
yeah.
roll the dice again in terms of causing chaos, which not really rolling the dice actually, but you know what I mean.
Fixing the dice, yeah.
Hmm.
Having chaos ensue multiple times, like even if it takes a couple turns for that to charge up, that's pretty good. There are a lot of planes where if you could trigger chaos like three times at the same time, you're definitely going way ahead.
Yeah, so there's like a question of like it's a should I just let them go home and not pay the
Hmm.
two? Yeah,
Hmm.
I like the tension there. I like this card. I and again I'm pleasantly surprised because I'm usually not the target audience for these. So
Hmm. 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 Yeah, I think one of the other things that comes up in plane chase is people often just want to play like the one big deck of 40 planes or whatever, which robs plane chase of some of its feeling that like I have the planes that I brought and I want to like have good planes that I'm looking for. And this homeward beacon actually helps with that like big deck situation because you still get to personalize the planar journey a little bit. You still get to say this is the one I prefer. You guys can spend to get off there, but this is the one that I want to try to get back to.
I wonder how this works if one player controls multiple homeward beacons or if multiple players control homeward beacons. Like I wonder what
Hmm.
the is there like
Hmm.
some active player shenanigans that happens there in terms of how the triggers resolve? Yeah.
Yeah, replacement effects and turn order or something. Yeah.
Is it just back to
Well, we're
back
gonna.
planeswalking and it's huh.
Oh. Hmm. Yeah. Would you have multiple planeswalks happen after the first one? Yeah. Eh. I don't know. I couldn't answer that without looking that up. All right, you ready for a new card?
Hit me with it.
All right, next up, we're going to talk about Ill Famed Grifter. This is two black red for a creature human. We got it at uncommon here. When Ill Famed Grifter enters the battlefield, each other creature you control deals one damage to it. Never con a town you plan on returning to. This comes from Raidzel.
Mm, interesting. So basically if you control two like two other creatures, this instantly dies. So you need to be you need to be low
Hmm.
on creatures, which
Yeah.
I mean in return you get a 3/2 double striker, which is nothing to scoff at, but also not going to immediately break the game. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean I guess you play this in sort of a spell slingery deck is just the first thing that comes to mind, right? Like there are
Hmm.
multiple ways to make this work. Though actually, no. Why am I saying Spellslinger? It has double strike. You want this is like a classic
Ooh.
like pants deck or
Yeah,
Voltron
pump it
sub.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Give it +3/+0 until end of turn, and you're really cooking.
Oh God, who gave the grifter a bowl of soup? That's what we get for our charity.
Yeah, this is kind of like a loaner card that we don't have like an upkeep clause on, which I appreciate. This is like a one-time thing. I guess maybe it being 4 mana means it can still like kind of curve okay, so maybe you're not totally committed to that loner lifestyle. You get to play your like either 2 or 3 drop and then slam down this very good 4 drop. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of appreciated a loner card that came into play and then didn't have to track anything else. It was just a good card afterward.
Hmm.
And the flavor kind of makes sense where any grifter, if people notice that they're back, the tavern teams up on them
Hmm.
and kicks them out of town.
God, it reminds me. Have you watched Impractical Jokers before?
I know what it is. Yeah.
Okay, there's the one punishment where they take Q and they have him like dress up as an old timey sheriff and put him into a reenactment town, and they have
Oh.
and and they have like the entire town who are like trained actors like beat him up with like with like breakaway props and stuff. This
Oh.
reminds me like, and there's a scene where like they have a guy like pick him up bodily and run him along a counter of bottles, and then the bartender's like, "Hey,
Hmm.
you broke my bottles," and then whack him on the head with a glass. And I'm just imagining that's what happens to this grifter as soon as they show up in town.
Yeah. Yeah. Sliding along the bar. That's classic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got another Rakdos one next. We got Immersturm Taskmaster. This is one black red for a creature demon. It's a rare. And then it has this first clause: whenever one or more other creatures you control die, exile them. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, if there are 3 or more creatures exiled by Immersturm Taskmaster, choose one at random, put it onto the battlefield, gains haste until end of turn. We've got flavor text: what? You only died? Walk it off. He's a 4/3.
And this is designed by Red Bay. Did we mention who? The previous one was designed by Raidzel. I don't remember if we mentioned that,
Yeah.
but if I'm just re-mentioning it, then yeah, whatever.
Hey, yeah, why not? Free mentions.
But yeah,
This
this
feels
was
kind of fun in a commandery cheaty way. That's what this card said to me. I'm going to sack a couple of my big creatures that have like ETBs or something like that, and then I'm going to get one of them back, and I'm going to continue to get one of them back every turn.
mm-hmm. It does feel like a lot of value for what is already an overstated
Yeah,
creature.
yeah.
I think that maybe this wants to I think this maybe wants to kill the creature at end of turn again. Like
Hmm.
so you get back your creature for a you get back one of the creatures for, but I mean I guess a lot of other creatures do need to die, but there is a like the upside of getting a free creature back each turn is a
Hmm.
pretty lot. Um,
Yeah.
on top of like a 4/3 for 3. Um,
Hmm.
so I could see this just want, especially because like if this speaks to this feels like the type of thing where you want to control what you're letting die, right? So this is like an aristocraty thing. I feel like in an aristocraty
Hmm.
shell, like you're fine if it dies again because you're getting whatever value you got out of it dying the first time.
Hmm. Okay.
But otherwise, this is kind of neat. Immerstrom, that is, those are like the demons from Innistrad, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Or
they're.
from Viking Plane.
Oh, are
Uh,
they from Viking Plane? Let me see.
yeah.
Okay,
Immersturm is the. I just blanked on the plane name.
Kaldheim.
Yeah.
I remember there being like a. It must have. There was like an ogre. Oh no, Immerstrom is this, but what is the? There was like an ogre that did like a similar thing,
Hmm.
or not, maybe not did a
The
similar
one
thing.
that gives haste to creatures as they
Yeah,
enter.
yeah, 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 yeah. You're picking up what I'm
Yeah,
putting down.
Ogre Battle Master, I want to say.
Ogre Battle Driver.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Ogre. Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
For some reason, I thought that was also
That's a
an
good one.
Immerstrom card. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
That's a core set card that could be on any plane at all.
ah, maybe it is on call time. Who's to say?
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, hit us with that next card.
What's the kit?
Oh no, actually,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
no, no. If you had something more to say, I was just doing a transition because I felt a lull.
Alrighty. Our next card here, it's kind of interesting one. Necrotrancer, one blue, blue, red. Sorry, one blue, blue, black, 4 mana. Per creature, human, wizard at rare. It has flash, and then whenever a creature would enter the battlefield from a graveyard under an opponent's control, instead of it enters the battlefield under your control. And then the flavor here, I know he dug you up, but I'm the one who understands you. It's a 2/1. So instead of hijacking people's draws, we're going to hijack people's reanimation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little niche, but
Yeah, and
oh,
it's
this
and
one's from Larson.
who's on a quest to design, I think, a dimmer card for a bunch of different like potential play styles. Um, I really like this. I think that top to bottom, the flavor text and name are great together. Um, this feels very much in the wheelhouse of the classic blue black. What's flash, grab, yoink your thing,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
and like you said, it is niche. But I think that if there's like symmetrical reanimation or
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
yeah, something like that, you can really go ham with this. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this deck there's like got to be 3 or 4 just like mass reanimate cards out there that you break using this card. And that's what I'm hoping to do with it. I did notice Living Death might be a little tough because it Living Death exiles it, then enters the battlefield, so it kind of breaks the tracking that this Necrotrancer needs. But there are probably cards kind of like Living Death that this would work with.
Mm-hmm. And if not, you just print more to work alongside it. Simple as.
There you go. Hmm. Maybe there's a commander that gives everyone a creature back,
Mm.
something like that.
Yeah. Next
Next
up.
up, I've got another Demir card. This one's called Return of the Intrada. I don't know if that's a name I don't know. Blue, blue, black for an enchantment. As an additional cost to cast the spell, exile X creature cards from your graveyard. When Return of the Intrada enters the battlefield, investigate X times. And then when you control no clues, create a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token for each card you've drawn this turn. And this is from Envoy of Aeons. So I get to make a ton of clues if I filled my graveyard up. And then if I manage to go through all those clues, I get some merfolk.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know why it's a cost instead of just when it enters you exile them and then
Hmm.
create them. Um,
Yeah, that's a decent point. Yeah.
like I don't think it matters that much, but I'm just wondering if there's something
Is
I've
there a
missed for,
reason?
yeah,
Yeah.
something I've missed
Yeah.
that makes it
Yeah.
matter. Um, I like how this encourages you to sort of like chain through your clues. Um,
Hmm.
the when you control no clues,
Yeah.
does that keep triggering? Does it need to be like a
That's a
like
good question. Yeah.
and because this is like
Then
a
sacrifice it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just like self-sacrifice the Indrada and then do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the play pattern of this seems pretty fun. I honestly I think that there's a neat tension between wanting to exile a bunch so you get more clues and draws and
Hmm.
wanting to choose a manageable number so you can crack them all in one turn to get like 4 merfolk. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, because getting 20 clues with this is maybe not better than getting 10 clues. Um,
yeah, it depends on how much mana you have
yeah.
available, but There's also like the cheaty tech where you like uh make only one clue. You blue sun zenith or
Mm.
something, and then you crack one clue, and then you get to actually get a bunch more
Oh,
merfolk than you were
yeah,
expecting.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. I like that. I like being encouraged to mix the clues with another draw spell to do something cool. I also just like kind of evil merfolk checking out a shipwreck. I don't know. That's fun to me too. Are they evil? Maybe they're just curious.
Yeah, they could just be curious. We don't need to ascribe ill intent to everything we don't understand. What is this?
I don't know. Maybe I've got the Eldraine merfolk vibe where they want to drag people into the moats and strangle them.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it almost feels like maybe like are the merfolk crewing the ship? Is that what the return is? They're like, hey, we brought your ship
Oh.
back, but it's ours now.
Hmm. We helped you find out what happened to the ship so you could file your insurance claim. And now that you've gotten the money back, it's going to be considered scrapped. So we're just going to take it. We're just going to take it off your hands.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't know who's investigating. Are the merfolk investigating or is someone else investigating?
Mm.
I like it though. There's something about like you get a bunch of clues and then you want to crack a bunch of them all at once. You don't want to just like crack one of them each turn for the next like 6 turns,
Mm-hmm.
because then you won't get much benefit out of the merfolk. All right, I got three more for us. My next one here is Shrieking Featherback. So this is one in a black for a creature bird. This is a common. It has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, mill 2 cards. And then it has another ability, 4 and a green tap. Return target basic land from your graveyard to your hand. This is from Sage B.
Interesting. So you get like a bunch of easy mill that can then
Yeah.
I don't does it need to cost like 5 mana?
It's
Like
a decent question.
I think it's reasonably safe, especially because it's a 2 mana flyer that's also already getting you a mill value. But I think it can go to 4 or something. Like I think,
Okay, okay, okay.
but but yeah, I like this as an engine. It's just simple and clean, and I like that it's a good card on its own. But then there's the off color activated ability to like point you. I love good commons with off color activated abilities, especially in a multicolor
Hmm.
heavy set, because it's like you can pick this up even if you don't have both colors, but then you're that you get that extra edge slash reward if you're in
Hmm.
in both.
Yeah, I imagine that most of the time when I'm returning these basic lands, it's just to get blank cards into my hand that I can then discard to other things. Like this somehow was very like Shadows over Innistrad to me. Like Groundskeeper was a card that returned lands from your graveyard to your hand in that format,
Mm-hmm.
and that was mostly so I could then discard them to my discard outlets, which sometimes also were madness outlets and that kind of stuff. So I'm just getting blank cards into my hand is what I'm mostly hoping to do with this green ability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe we want to have some sort of engine in this format where we have the alternates to memories journey where I can like keep my library going even after I've milled myself out. Maybe I need cards in hand for this version. I'm gonna take cards in hand and shuffle them into my library, and that this bird is going to keep me from milling myself out.
Mm-hmm.
um, I just kind of admired getting this much text on a card, and it's still, I would say, still common. Like it doesn't feel like it's like really intensely uncommon, even though it has a couple abilities.
Yeah, I honestly
Um,
don't even know that it's like that much text. I think it's just the text
yeah,
size is really big because I think it's just
yeah,
it just but yeah, it is like it's like three different abilities. One of which is a like
hmm,
evergreen keyword, but
yeah.
still. Yeah, okay.
I'd want to have a reason to be activating this green effect somewhere in the format, but if that exists, then I think this is a really fun card to try to pick up and
Yeah, for me, I mean,
It
I
certainly
imagine
helps
it's
me
like
dump cards
this
on
is
my
not
yard.
the only landfall card, right? So if you're, I'm assuming
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
you grab it back and you start triggering your other landfall stuff, or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
or just trigger itself, you know.
Yeah, I guess putting landfall on the card implies that's I should have thought about that. Like it kind of implies that there's going to be 18 other landfall cards in the set that I get to feed with the green ability.
Mm-hmm. Next up,
We've got sudden snow squall. This is 6 and a blue for instant phenomenon. I think it's an uncommon. Choose X, where X is the amount of snow spent to cast this spell. You may choose the same mode more than once. So it costs 7 mana. You probably want to spend a decent amount of that as snow, and they get to do this one of these three things up to the number of snow you spent. So you could tap creatures, put stun counters on creatures, or return creatures to their owner's hand. Um, so if I spend 6 or 7 snow mana, I could tap 7 creatures. I could bounce 3 creatures, tap 2 creatures, something like that. I like that this was an expensive spell that really made me want to have a lot of snow in the deck. Um,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
I kind of the tap and stun do feel a little redundant, in
Mm.
terms of like bounce usually feels better than those, but I guess the idea is if they can recast it
Yeah.
immediately for good ETBs, you just want to tap it down. So you know, I don't know what a
Yeah.
phenomenon is.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask about that because Phenomenon are also in planar decks. They're like sort of sorceries of the planar deck,
Ah,
where
okay.
instead of planeswalking to a plane, you hit a Phenomenon, you do that effect, then you planeswalk again. I don't know if that's meant to be the same thing or it just happens to be the same word.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this card was from
Underscore
WY.
underscore WY. Thank you very much.
Oh, underscore WY. Okay. Correction accepted.
Yeah,
Thank you for the card.
I think that this is like, I think this could be costed a little cheaper, which you could argue
Hmm.
hurts it a little bit because that means less snowman you can potentially spend on it. But I think that like, I think this could be too cheaper easily, and then not be jockeying for space with like, obviously like this is the upper end, right? Like, but like cyclonic, once you're
Hmm.
into like 7 mana and stuff, you can hit like cyclonic rift, or even like in standard, like what's the River's Rebuke is the one.
Hmm.
So I think this could be like a, or maybe even like an X spell itself, right? And you just have like dud, like maybe like triple blue X, and
Hmm.
so you can start casting it from triple blue. But yeah, it's hard.
Hmm.
Maybe not triple blue. I'd have to think about it, but I do think that this can be cheaper than 7.
Hmm.
Bec-
Yeah, I mean, bouncing like 4 of my opponent's creatures is to me worth 7 mana. I
oh
guess
yeah,
it rots in your hand until you cast it, but
I think I think it comes down to how accessible the snow part of it is, right?
yeah, that's
Like
true. Yeah.
like if we're assuming you're hitting the like maybe not even the full, like if you're hitting like 5 snow consistently, then yeah, maybe you want to hit this, keep this at 7. But like if the snow is a little bit more of a hurdle slash hoop, then
Yeah.
maybe
Okay.
you want to let this be a little bit more aggressively leaning. And I don't know what the environment that this is intended for is like, so could be that
Hmm.
you're assuming that full snow basic loadout.
Yeah, I guess maybe if you can pull down the power level of the bounce mode, like if it's return tapped creatures or something, I would
Mm-hmm.
feel good about bringing the cost down. Um, and actually, that might be nice to kind of balance out the power level of the modes because right now the bounce mode is a good amount better than the other 2 modes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I get the hesitation on wanting to play a 7 mana card for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to play a lot of those in a deck. I really like this. Like, choose as much snow as you got. That's how many modes you get.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing extra modes always feels fun.
Yeah, it's value for free.
it feels like it's for free. Yeah, even though it's
Mm,
like it does nothing if I don't do anything. Uh, Somehow it still felt really good to me.
mm.
All right, my last pick here is Will of the Goryo for black, black, black. So another seven mana card. Maybe I'm loving the 7 mana cards today. I don't know. We got a sorcery rare, and this is a little bit of a reader, so we're gonna have to recap this probably after we read it. When you cast Will of the Goryo, if you cast a spirit or arcane spell this turn, until end of turn, while voting, you may vote 2 additional times. And then its main ability is Council's Dilemma. Starting with you, each player votes for a creature card in a graveyard. Put each card with one or more votes from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Each opponent who voted for a card that received 2 or more votes loses 5 life. And that last sentence is the technology that I really liked out of this. And that card was from Moon Muse Brandon.
I like it as another way to like change the incentives on voting.
Hmm. Yeah. So to kind of recap here, if I've got like 8 or 9 or 10 mana and I cast a spirit or arcane spell, I get to vote 3 times instead of one. But even if I just cast this normally, each player is going to pick a creature, maybe commander style. We got 4 picks. They're all going to come onto the battlefield. And the normal thing with voting is like, hey, uh, they already pointed at um, Gristlebrand or something. I'm just going to vote for Gristlebrand as well. Oh, I'll vote for Gristlebrand as well. So all 3 opponents just vote for the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just so only one creature comes back. But if they do that, they all lose a bunch of life. So you get to punish them for not working with you a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I do think the spirit or arcane condition, maybe it could be like if there's a threshold of spirit or arcane cards in your graveyard or something. Because again, this is
Mm.
this is 7 mana, so like you said,
Yeah, it's
it,
already
it,
7. Yeah.
you don't want to have to be waiting till like 10 mana to really do the cool thing. And I could see there
Yeah.
being a thing where it's like you use a bunch of spirit and arcane spells to mill through your deck, and then this is like an
Hmm.
additional payoff for that.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see something like that. I guess the cheat that I was thinking of is this like a arcane ritual, so you can at least just get your arcane spell. But maybe we don't want to push people to do that. Maybe you're right. We
Mm-hmm.
want to say like, hey, if you have this many spirit or arcane spells in your graveyard, which is still flavorful, you get extra votes, kind of implying that you're going to bring those spirits back from the grave
Mm-hmm.
with those extra votes.
And this was designed by Moon Muse Brandon.
Yeah. And Rise of the Dark Realms, that's 9 mana. That's get all creatures from all graveyards under your control. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe you're right. If I'm spending 2 mana on an arcane spell and then 7 on this, I'm getting a card that's probably a little worse than Rise of the Dark Realms.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I love that last tech though.
It is very
It's just such a
flavorful.
weird problem with voting. Yeah, normal voting, like you just there ends up being like 2 targets out of 4 players, and it's like, well, we didn't all kind of vote.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
The vote
yeah,
was rigged here.
just take 5. Just yeah, the vote was rigged. There was disincentive. We're going to send protesters to anyone who voted against us.
Yeah, I think I have three cards I'd like to quickly talk about. Um, so the
All right,
first
let's do
one
it.
is Champion's Return designed by
Mm.
Feline. Um, and this is 2 and a white for sorcery. Put target creature card you own in exile that has an adventure onto the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter. Um, and I like this as sort of a way to just like cheat big adventure creatures into play. Like if you have something that
Mm.
has a cheap instant but like a big adventure back, you can use this as a pseudo ritual. Um, it's pretty
Mm.
it's just kind of and it's just kind of pretty flavorful. It's neat. Um, it is a little narrow, and I think that like if it wasn't for the flavor, I would not be like crazy high on it. But I think it's a pretty decent and it's a pretty cool card.
Yeah, there are a good number of like 7 mana adventure creatures. So yeah, I guess you do the cheap side, oh, I'm going to bounce something with my blue spell, and then I'm going to cast this Champion's Return and just get a 7/7.
Yeah, thank God this can't put non-creatures with adventures, because what's the new
Oh,
cycle from
oh, the virtues, yeah,
yeah, the Virtue. Can
yeah,
you imagine, like, to turn two the Black Virtue, kill a thing. Turn three
yeah,
this,
yeah,
get like one of the Black
yeah.
Virtue. Ugh, ooh, that would be
Get
scary.
yeah, get that card that you just killed back on turn 3.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the big adventure creatures, at least so far, are kind of like draft commons and uncommons, so we're not cheating too hard.
Hmm.
And it is funny, we're we're kind of doing the opposite of what adventure normally is, which is like getting free cards. We're spending a card to get our card. We're actually getting fewer free cards and just faster cards.
Hmm. Next up, I have Swear to Return by Gynoid Poet. Um, doo-doo-doo-doo. So this is Mardu for an enchantment or a enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, has haste, double strike, and lifelink, and can't block. So this thing is going to be swinging in for hella damage.
Yeah.
But when it deals combat damage to a player, it's essentially self cycles. So this thing is a menace if you want to chump block it, um, but
Hmm.
does just go away after one strong punch.
Yeah. So if they try to chump block it, then you're probably only hitting once. So you're getting one blast of lifelink and staying alive. It's pretty good. I
Mm-hmm.
put on a 4/4. Now it's a 5/5. I get 5 life out of it and kill the chump blocker.
It also gets double
If they
strike, so
want to,
you get 10 life.
well, they kill it on the first strike, so I don't get to hit twice.
Oh right, right, right.
Uh, if they try to put like a big wall of creatures against it, yeah, now I'm actually spreading out that 10 damage and getting 10 life.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I want to play this if I want to like get back in the game and gain a bunch of life, and I have like a pretty big creature. Um, that's pretty fun. And then when I hit the opponent, I only draw one card. Is that right? Because I'll hit with the first strike damage, and then this enchantment will sacrifice before regular combat damage.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I, I'm pretty sure the intention is that, and then it just self cycles.
Hmm.
I wonder what the exact.
So if they,
No, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was going on a completely different tack, which is I was going to be like, I wonder what
Oh,
the
okay.
exact flavor here is, right? Like there's like something in the art with the person holding a mask or something in a ruined town. There's like Swear to Return, but
Hmm.
is it just like one shot of revenge essentially? Is
Yeah,
like
they it looks like, yeah, it's a burned village. They're holding like they're mournfully holding some object. Yeah, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back stronger. I'm gonna get revenge. And then once I get a little revenge, then I'm done.
a little revenge as a treat.
I don't know. Yeah. If you try to stop my revenge, then I'm just gonna keep killing people. But if you just get me a little revenge, yeah, we're cool. Swear to Return feels very Mardu. We're getting like a nice spread of abilities. Maybe
Hmm.
haste red, white double strike, black lifelink.
Yeah, overall it's neat. Um,
Yeah, I like it.
my last card is Risen Patrician, designed by Arshig. It's one and a black for a 2/2 zombie noble that removes Decayed from creatures you have. Okay, pretty
Mm.
niche, but you can suspend it for X black black, and whenever a time counter is removed from Risen Patrician, you make a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. So
Mm.
you can invest a bunch into him to get a lot of Decayed tokens, and then once he comes off suspend, yeehaw, Decayed no more.
Yeah. So each turn I'm willing to wait, I get another zombie. And then baseline, it costs X black black, so it costs 2 mana, which is what this guy normally costs, a 2/2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if I go in suspend mode, I'm going to suspend at 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 turns, then get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I just suspend one, then I get then next turn a time counter gets removed. I get that decayed zombie, and I get the patrician. And
Mm-hmm.
so I spent 3 mana for a slightly delayed double 2/2, uh, which feels like a decent deal. Uh, do I want to ever suspend this for like 5 or 6? Do I imagine the game going that long?
Yeah, it's kind of a. I feel like this is the kind of card which works best. Um, like you ideally want to suspend this for a bunch. I feel like, and then just play hard cast a second
Hmm.
copy, so that you can cheat on
Oh.
the.
Oh, maybe that's kind of like a grandeur alternate where, if I have one copy of this, I'm just Xing 1 or 2. But if I have 2 copies of it, I X it for 5 and then have the second copy, yeah, come in. Yeah, and get extra use out of that second copy. You don't really need two in play.
Mm-hmm.
uh, do you like the flavor here? This is like a kind of Roman Greek looking thing.
Yeah. Um, and I think that's about it.
Oh, okay.
They, I, yeah, like there are definitely some other cards here, but I think we've been going for about 50 minutes. I think that
Yeah.
this is a good selection. Um, but again,
Yeah, yeah.
as always, um, feel free to check out the full file in the
Mm.
description. I'll also be adding links to uh, the Discord server where you can submit cards to these shared files, the list of prompts, which is probably not going to be useful because we're by the time this goes up, we're going to have exactly one more day of Moxtober. But hey, if you want to
Mm.
if if you want to catch up over the next month, no one is going to stop you from doing it a little late, right? Everything in
Yeah,
its own
and the
time.
and the bot will like accept cards after that, right? Or
Yeah, I
you
believe
just
so.
have to specify the day.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just pretty neat to be able to see these because again I think lots of the as I mentioned earlier lots of the hype for Moxtober usually is happening on the day where people are like comparing designs and whatever. So getting to still see
Mm.
some of these is pretty neat. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know how many more of these I'm gonna do. We'll see.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
they maybe over the course of November we'll round out the rest of it. Maybe I'll finish up on day 17. Who knows? But I'll I'll do my best to look through all these because I enjoy them. So as long as it's fun, I'm gonna keep doing it. And until next time,
Happy to come back on.
yeah.
Oh,
And until next time, this is gonna be Caillou and Tim signing off. See y'all.
thanks for watching.